When we think of the classic brands, we always think about the times that the companies got it right. And when we think of Gibson guitars, we always think of things like the Les Paul, the SG, the Flying V and the Explorer. When we think of Fender, we always think of the Strat, the Tele, the Jaguar and the Mustang. But what about the times when the companies got it wrong? And when the company releases a product and it just fails to live up to expectations and the consumers just don't like it at all and it fades away into the sunset and becomes a distant memory. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. This is 5 Gibson guitars you may not have heard of, ranked. So current number 5 is the Gibson Victory, released in 1981. This guitar ran in production until 1983 and 1984, depending on the source that you read. This guitar was a super strat intended to capitalise on the growing trend of shredding, hair metal, thrash metal, all the stuff that was sort of coming around in the late 70s, early 80s. But unfortunately, this did not live up to expectations. Gibson were known for their classic rock guitars, the Les Pauls, the SGs, and people did not want a super strat from Gibson. There's plenty of brands out there such as Jackson, Charvel, Ibanez, all filling that spot and all fulfilling the needs of the consumers, and Gibson just could not get into that market despite how hard they try. So this guitar went out of production after just 2 or 3 years, and it's quite rare these days. So if you can pick one up, it's probably worth checking out. I imagine being a Gibson guitar, especially from the 80s, it probably is a really good guitar. Just at that moment in time, it did not live up to expectations. If you ever get a chance, check one out. Really curious to see what a super strat from Gibson actually sounds like. So current number 4 is the Gibson Modern. Is it called the Modern? That's what we're going to call it anyway. First designed in 1957 along with the Flying V and the Explorer. However, this guitar did not see production until 1982. It is believed that a prototype may exist from 1958, although this has not been verified. This guitar was put into production in the 1980s, and Epiphone even made their own version of it too. The guitar is also featured in various Guitar Hero games, and Zakk Wylde even has his own signature version called the Modern of Doom. The guitar was also reissued again in 2012, but has since been discontinued. So current number 3 is the Gibson Marauder, produced between 1975 and 1979. During that time, just over 7,000 of them were produced. And the Marauder once again made an appearance for a limited run in 1982. Now a lot of you guys out there will probably know about the lawsuit era guitars from the 1970s, when Japanese brands such as Ibanez, Bernie, Tokai and Greco were making replicas of the American instruments from Gibson and Fender, and they're selling them at about half the price, and the quality was apparently just as good. Now a lot of these players in the West started to choose these Japanese brands over the American ones, and the American companies such as Gibson and Fender started to suffer. In order to gain back a bit of market share, Gibson decided to step into Fender's territory and start releasing guitars that came with single coils and had bolt-on necks. Now the Marauder came with a humbucker and a single coil pickup. It had a bolt-on neck. The body was made out of alder maple or mahogany, and the fretboard was made out of either rosewood or maple. So a lot of traits commonly seen in Fender guitars. Now the Marauder has been famously used by Derek from Sum 41, and most notably in the Fat Lip video. Now coming at number 2 is the Gibson Corvus, another short-lived guitar from the 1980s. And this guitar is often referred to as the can opener guitar, and judging by the picture you can see, you can probably guess why. And also, if you turn it on its side, apparently it looks like a crow in flight, and Corvus actually means crow in Latin. Now this was another failed attempt at trying to tap into the market share that Fender occupied, and this guitar had an older body, a bolt-on neck, and either came with a single humbucker, 2 humbuckers or 3 single coils. This guitar wasn't well received and discontinued just after 2 years, and this guitar is another one that makes a feature in various Guitar Hero games too. Now coming in number 1 is the Gibson S1, produced in 1974 until 1980. This was at the height of the lawsuit era, and when the American brand was suffering the most, and this was yet again another failed attempt at trying to tap into Fender's market share. Can we see a pattern here? Now this guitar was designed to give similar tones to the likes of the Strat and the Tele, and although it had some pretty famous players including Keith and Ronnie from the Rolling Stones and Carlos Santana, this guitar just failed to make Strat and Tele players to put down their Fenders and move over to Gibson, and this guitar was discontinued in 1980. Now as you can see, that although these companies are highly regarded by many musicians, that not everything they put out is golden, and most companies have their own place in the music world, and they're trying to steer away from that generally doesn't end well. Just because it didn't end well doesn't mean that the guitars are actually that bad. They just failed to live up to their expectations, and didn't quite tap into the market that they were trying to go into, but they are probably very fine guitars, and I think if you ever came across any of these sort of rare Gibson guitars, I would definitely consider buying it, at least go checking it out, because I reckon you might have a solid gem on your hands, and definitely one that could be quite rare and could be quite valuable in the future. So right, that is the end of the video. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Have you heard of these guitars? Have you owned these guitars? Have you at least played them? If you have, let me know about your experiences down below in the comment section, as well as suggest guys future episodes of Rank 2. And if you've liked this video, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. My name is Doodles, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.